One of the challenges, one of the things that we need to really take a look at is that there's a definite disparageness. There's a gap between the wealthy and the poor. And the reality is it's been designed that way, but we can change that. And you're about to meet two pioneers in the finance industry combined. I joked, I said, what have you got, like 900 years in banking? But there's only two of them, right? So one of them's got 25, the other one's got 35. I'll let you figure out which one is which. But together, they have already disrupted the industry. How many of you remember when Discover Card first came out and they started to give cash back as a reward for the cards? How many of you remember that? All right. Well, you're about to meet the gal who was responsible for that idea and bringing that to the world. And then every credit card after that had to follow suit. They had to start giving points and miles and cash back or they'd be out of business. So you've got some innovators, you've got some disruptors, and guess what? They're at it again. They're here to talk to us about Switch Reward Card and the Switch blockchain. It's incredible what they've already been able to do, but you haven't seen anything yet. So without any further ado, please stand up. Let's do a quick stretch break. Everybody stand up for 1 second. I want to see you stand up. I can see you sitting down. I appreciate the prayers, but stand up, hop up. I see some couchers back there. So people are leaning back like, all right, I'm just watching the show. All right, we're not at the movies. Okay, perfect. Stand up, stretch that body. We just got through with the health. By the way, in the future, we'll have you up with music. We'll get you some breath going and these kind of things. But I love that you're powering through these 12-minute sessions. So please, please, please help me welcome two legends, two entrepreneurs, two disruptors that are going to change the way that we do banking, change the way that finance is. Please help welcome Kathy and Brad to the stage. You're welcome, sweetie.
Hey everybody, I'm so glad to see all of you. A lot of you I've met before. It's wonderful to be in the room with this state-of-the-art kind of opportunity. And I told you before, I'm a community member, I'm a node owner, and I'm the CEO of Switch Reward Card. It's really important for each of you to think about your finances, your future, and how the world has changed so rapidly. And I want you all to be the CEO of your own life. When we talked to originally, somebody mentioned the guy with the red and black shirt. Well, when I talked to him, I turned him down 4 times and said, I don't know what you're talking about. But once I figured out Web3, once I figured out blockchain, once I figured out crypto, I thought, I'm not going to be left behind. I can do one more brand new project. But I said, I do need a young guy to do the work. This is a young guy to do the work. So Brad's going to tell you all about the solutions, the things that are coming. It's going to be a wild ride. Be there with us.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Appreciate it. And she's not lying when she said she's going to make me do all the work. She has all the amazing ideas and does all the hard stuff, and then I have to go make the operations happen. I'm going to tell my story a lot like the other presenters, their experience coming into cryptocurrency and blockchain. This was about in 2015. That same friend is my best friend since the 7th grade, said, hey, open up a Coinbase account. I'm going to send you some Bitcoin. So this is 2015. He sends me some Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, I'm a conservative commercial and industrial banker. That's pretty stable unless you were there in 2008, which is when I was as well. Went through that crazy time. But he sends me some Bitcoin, and I start looking into it. At the time, there was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin on Coinbase. And I had that, and then I started looking around, and this new token was coming out called Ripple, or XRP, and they said they were going to disrupt banking and bring in a new rails of payment processing. And so I'm like, I really want this, but it was nowhere to be found. You couldn't really buy it except on this small platform called Binance. And you had to do what's called a swap. That's when you can only buy it with another cryptocurrency. So I sent thousands of my dollars of Bitcoin to this platform, and I'm sitting there hitting refresh for about 3 hours, which felt like about 3 weeks, because it never showed up. It left Coinbase and never showed up on Binance. There's no customer service that you can call and say, hey, something went wrong. There's no help. You can't call anybody. So I'm starting to make up a story to go tell my wife that I just lost thousands of dollars. And luckily, after that, 110th refresh on my computer, it finally showed up on the other end in Binance. And then I had to figure out with their crazy platform of, okay, how do I swap this for XRP? And it just was a terrible experience. How many of you have been scared in purchasing crypto or are scared? And if you have, throw it in the chat, because it's a scary thing when you jump into this new world of blockchain, AI, cryptocurrency. And I was scared, and I didn't like that experience. And I thought, man, if I ever did something like this, I want to make it easy. I want to have customer service. And so that's my experience with blockchain. I want to tell you about what Switch Reward Card is doing out there. Before we do that, we've talked a lot about decentralized versus centralized. And in the finance world, I want to talk about what that means. Obviously, decentralized finance takes out the middleman and makes it so people can interact directly with each other. Centralized is what we have today and what we're using currently with credit unions, banks, brokerages. They control what we have in our accounts. If we want to send off a wire, we get calls every day of people sending wires from their bank saying, our bank won't let us send our own money out. And I'm going to say that again. Our banks won't let me send my own money somewhere else. They control your money, which is terrible. So in simple terms, centralized finance means the banks control your money, and decentralized finance means you control your own money. And I don't have to even ask you, which do you prefer? Obviously, the answer is we want to control our own money. So the future for finance is decentralized finance and a combination. A lot of the experts say, well, you can't just get rid of financial services. And they're right, because banks have controlled and managed money for so long. They've really had a problem with letting go of this control because they want to control everything. Just like I mentioned, they won't let you send out your own money to wherever you want because they think there's risk there for them. Not for you, but risk there for them because they're taking on and will have to pay it if it goes wrong. So the combination of this is going to be the financial services as well as all of the decentralized finance technology that helps in speed, helps in transparency, rewards, and ownership. So what does Switch do and how does it play a role in this? Well, it represents this transition. It's bridging the traditional finance with decentralized finance and being able to bring these two worlds together to make it easier and not have experiences like I had when I first got into crypto. However, this is still super early, and decentralized finance still is imperfect and has some problems. There's a lot of struggles in it. In fact, these are the three top obstacles that most people come in contact with when they jump into crypto. So we have, and also there's like its own vocabulary of itself if you're jumping into cryptocurrency. So we have on-ramp and off-ramp. All that means is the ability to deposit cash on a trade platform for crypto, and the off-ramp is withdrawing after you sell your crypto into an external bank account. That is extremely hard, and a lot of banks have said, nope, we're not going to let you. If you're going to do that, we're going to shut it down. And I thought it was funny that Jim had his account shut down at Wells Fargo, because a lot of people, and the guy that brought me into all this has had tons of his accounts, bank accounts shut down, because that's all he's been doing is crypto since 2012. The second one is the transparency and complexity of fees. A lot of times when you buy Bitcoin or whatever token, you don't even know what you paid in fees. And then the third we talked about a little bit, I think Darren talked about, is utility, and as well as Steve for green, is a token use case. There's been thousands of tokens created and there's no use case for these tokens. It's just a pump and dump and then nothing happens. So what we're doing in all these projects is we're building a blockchain with a purpose. We're bringing real world industries into Web3 and integrating the two, and that's exactly what Switch is doing. So Switch Reward Card is more than just a card. Like I mentioned, we have a trade wallet where you can buy and sell crypto. You can deposit and withdraw cash easily. Switch Reward Card is also creating utility for the Switch token. This is a screenshot of how easy it is for our on and off ramp. We've highlighted on the left there in red the deposit and withdraw. You click on that, it has ACH, wire, and then real-time payments. If you're in the US and your bank allows you to do real-time payments, that's 24/7. That's the fastest way. On the right there, it's just a simple click of a button for buy and sell. And then on the right, it says load, and that's load your card so you can spend your crypto quickly. And that's one of our biggest values. And like I mentioned, the complexity and transparency of fees. We don't hide fees. We don't increase a spread on the spot price. You can see your total cost if you want to sell $50 worth of Bitcoin, it's going to cost you $52 and some odd cents to be able to get that $50. And same with if you're buying. I mentioned a little bit about the customer service experience. In this decentralized finance world, there is like 0 to none. So we always hear Darren say yes and yes. There's 0 to none customer service. We have a customer service, and we have 97% of our tickets be answered in 24 hours. And then we have a huge self-help at support.switchrewardcard.com. We have videos on there for our platform. We have screenshots. We have examples of all the problems that people have going through Know Your Customer when you're setting your account, or from connecting your bank account to our platform. And that's an amazing site, and we are second to none with this on our call. And I wanted to throw this in there. We opened and launched our trade wallet where you can buy and sell crypto about 1.5 years ago. Our all-time trade volume, and a lot of these projects that we've been talking about today have real-world products. Ours is our current trade wallet. And in the last 1.5 years, we've done about $72 million. We're probably a little higher than that because I think that was given a month or so ago, of volume of people who have bought and sold crypto. This is important because it goes back to that utility, and I'll get into that. We'll also dive way deeper into all these products and how they fit into the Web3 world for blockchain, and how they help create utility for the Switch token. So that's important to know those numbers. This is our roadmap. We're going to have our international and US debit cards here in the fourth quarter. I was hoping to get mine shipped here today, but it didn't make it. We're going to turn on utility in Q1 for 2026 for the Switch token. That means you will pay the fees towards our trade wallet in the Switch token. And then Q2, you'll be rewarded for confirmation of the digital receipts that are off-chain to bring them on-chain. Like I said, in our webinars next week, please sign up for them. We will have a deeper dive and explain any questions you might have, answer any questions you might have. I've talked a lot about how does Switch Reward Card creating utility or use cases for the Switch token. That's our main purpose, is to create products in this Web3 world that people want to use and that have to use. And one of those is the trade wallet. It's a simple, user-friendly platform. And every buy and sell and trade, we'll be requiring, like I mentioned on our roadmap, in Q1 of next year, for those fees to be paid in Switch. And when I talk about the fees, we charge 1.5% to 4% when you buy and sell crypto. Most places say, we're going to only charge you $1.99 for each trade, but they add a spread of 10 to 15% above what the current spot price is of Bitcoin. For instance, if Bitcoin's 100,000, they're going to charge you 110,000 to buy that Bitcoin. We don't do that. We charge you spot price and show you, all right, you're going to be charged 1.5% to 4%. So obviously, as we grow that user base, it grows the token utility, and that's our main focus. The third thing is our debit card utility. You'll be able to pay your different fees, your wire fees, and everything with that comes with the debit card. What this does is it creates a self-sustaining ecosystem, and Switch becomes the fuel for that network, the Switch token. Daily engagements keeps the stability and ongoing recurring use of Switch, and increases the long-term value of the support. So here's our two important websites, switchrewardcard.com, as well as our support website. Please sign up for our webinars next week. What's cool about Switch is we are integrated into every one of these projects. They use a lot of our products on the back end. In fact, a lot of you might have used, if you've bought nodes through Connect, you're using our back end payment processing. So thank you very much. Super excited to have a part of you in our project. Thanks.